Hi guys, it's Mess for everyone. Today's lesson is cosine rule. Let's have a look. I've got this triangle, non-right angle triangle, and I've put A, B, C there, and the little letter symbolizing the side of the triangle. So that's A, that's B, and that's a C. Now, and similar to the sine rule proof, I've got the right angle, perpendicular to the base, and it creates the height of the triangle. So that's not too bad. So far similar. But only thing difference here now is I put the end of the height. I've named this part as a D, and then I gave them a names for AD and DB. I'll call AD as X, DB as a C minus X. That makes sense, right? Because whole thing is C, and that's the little part is X, so that the other leftover will be C minus X. Now, similar to the sine rule, I'm going to make the H the subject. But in this case, I don't really need to do so much about this, because here, this right angle triangle, I've got all the sides that I need. So all I have to do is a Pythagoras rule. I'm going to use my Pythagoras rule. So here, but making H squared the subject, yeah? H squared equals B squared minus X squared. Yes, that's Pythagoras, because that's hypotenuse, that's opposite, and that's base. Now, on this, I will go again, H squared equals A squared, Pythagoras hypotenuse, so I take away the little part, which is C minus X squared. Okay, so we got the two expressions in terms of X squared. Now I'm going to make them as the same. So to be B squared minus X squared equals A squared minus C minus X squared. Okay, so that's not too bad. Now I'm gonna make this in terms of A squared as a subject. A squared as a subject. So here we go. I'm gonna clear all this out so that we have a space to make A squared the subject. Okay, from here on I'm going to make A squared subject. So I'm going to go write it like this. It's just easier for me, so I don't have to move A squared anywhere, because it's all in the on the one side. So I'm going to do A squared equals, I'm going to move this one to C minus X squared. Okay, something like that. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to expand this one. It's a perfect square. C squared minus 2cx plus x squared. Okay, if you don't know what I've done, go back and have a look at the perfect square. So I can cancel this, and I've got 2cx. Okay, so that's my formula for in terms of making the x squared as a subject. So this is a formula for finding a side A. Okay, I mean, if you want to find the side B, it'll be B here. Okay, now just notice a little bit of pattern here. B squared plus C squared, and then 2cx. Now x need to be in terms of A or B or C, so we need to change that. From the triangle we sketched it, so it was something like this. I'm just going to sketch it here. It was A here, H here, X here, and this was a B. Okay, so if I want to find X the subject, I'm going to have to cos, because the cosine rule. So cos A equals X over B, and therefore my X is, what is it? B cos A. So I'm going to change this one in terms of the cos. So 2C and then B cos A. Okay, so that just changed it. So I'm just going to write it a little bit nicely in terms of 2BC instead of a CB cos A. Okay, so now that is actually cosine formula. Okay, now because when you look for a side, we don't want an a squared, do we? We just want an a equals something. So I'm going to go straight into a equals, it'll be plus minus square root of b squared plus c squared minus 2bc cos a, okay? But with a, b, c, that's the sides of the triangle. Now you don't have negative side here. The side means like it's a distance as well, so there's no negative distance. So I'm going to leave that one as just a positive. So your formula now to find side, this is for side, looking for side, is a equals square root of b squared plus c squared minus 2bc cos a. Okay, now just the way I remember is bc is times of bc here, and then cos a is opposite with a. Okay, so when we do the question, you will see what I'm talking about. So just try to memorize this pattern here so that it's easier to understand. Okay, now I want to find out, what if I want to find out angle? This is finding a side, guys. What about I want to find angle? From here, I need to make this make the cosine A as my subject. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to change that to cos A the subject. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this one, the whole thing, and swap. Why? I want that subject to be on my left hand side. Cos A equals b squared plus c squared minus a squared. Are we okay with that? Yeah? All good. Now I'm going to divide by 2bc on here and here. Okay? So maybe I'll do it here. Or maybe I'll just get rid of it. Do it so that I'll have a more space to write. So I'm going to divide by that. It will be 2bc cos a b squared plus c squared minus a squared. And then divided by 2bc, 2bc, and then cos a equals b squared plus c squared minus a squared, 2bc. Okay, now we don't want to cos a, that's just a ratio. We want the angle A. So A equals cos inverse, when we go to there, the whole thing, square 2bc. Now that is your formula to find angle. Okay? You can only remember one, and then you can just make the cos A the subject if you want. Or if you want it, you can memorize two things. One for the side, one for the angle. So let's summarize. So this was angle. What was the side? Find it. Side. B squared plus C squared minus 2BC cos A. This is for the side, and this is for looking for angle. Okay, so memorize this. Now we're ready to do, what did we say? We don't really count negative because A has to be bigger than 0. Okay, so I'm going to do some questions, guys. Questions. Excellent. So question 1. I'm going to do question 1. Triangle, non-right angle triangle. Here we go. Oops. A, B, C, and I'm going to call this X, 48 degrees, and 3.5 centimeters, 1.8 centimeters. Now we have to find X. Okay? Now first thing first, they're not going to say use cosine rule or sine rule or anything. They're just going to say find the X value. Okay, so you might have to think, okay, I've got to use the sine rule or cosine rule. How do I know which one do I need to use? Just test it. You know the opposite side and angle? And then I don't have this here, I don't have this here. And there's no way I can find any of these angles. So I cannot use sine rule. So therefore, Therefore, I have to use cosine rule. Okay? Now, it's still good to know that my 48 is opposite to x, because that is my main sine, or cosine 48 it's going to be. Okay, so that's the case. I'm going to go x equals, remember, square root. Okay, square root. I'm going to put whatever is surrounding the angle is going to here. So it'll be 1.8 squared, don't forget the square guys, plus 3.5 squared minus 2 times 1.8 times 3.5 times cos 48 degrees. So remember this, guys. So whatever is surrounding, protecting the angle is going to be here. And these two are going to be times by there, and it's a minus. Okay? If you put that in your calculator, you will get 2.6568, something like that. And I want it to be x in a 1 decimal place. It'll be 2.7 centimeters. Okay, so that's what I've got. All right. Second question is finding an angle. Okay, I'm going to find the angle for this. So let's have a look at this question. I've got A, B, C. The angle I'm looking for is a theta. Okay, so I've got 9 meters, 11 meters, 10 meters. Again, it's not a bad idea to check whether I can use a sine rule or not, because sine rule is a lot easier than cosine rule. Okay, so I'll check this. Okay, they're opposite, that's not a problem, but I don't have any angles here, and there's no way I can find. If I had another angle, that's perfect. Even it's not here, even there, it's okay. I can use it, but I can't have it. So I'm gonna have to use cosine rule here. So let's have a look at cosine rule. I'm gonna go theta equals, I'm gonna go straight into the formula, guys. So if you actually can remember theta equals and A equals, instead of a cosine theta or A squared, it's a lot easier. So try to memorize what I've actually taught you before. Okay, so it'll be cos inverse. Remember, protecting the angle will be going on the top. It'll be 9 squared plus 10 squared minus 1 that is opposite to this angle is going to be minus 11 squared. And on the bottom, it's double of these two. 9, 10. Okay, so remember the pattern here, and use your calculator. Please use your calculator, guys. Okay, so when you put that in, and don't forget, because we're looking for angle, you've got to use that degree, minute, and second button at the end. So you will get something like 70.52877 ... and you put it in your calculator, you will get 70 degrees, 31 minutes, 43.61 seconds, something like that. Okay, so I want this to be, theta to be to the nearest minute, to the nearest minute. So here, I'm going to cut it off up to here. Okay, so my theta equals 70 degrees. It's not 31 minutes. It's because 43.61 seconds is more than half. I'm going to have to put 32 minutes. That's it, guys. Practice, practice, practice. Thanks. See ya.